Welcome to another video from owninganallotment.com. It's that time of year where it's time to start chitting potatoes and preparing ourselves for summer. There's not a lot else we can do at this time of year. It's too cold and damp to plant most plants. But you can certainly start some of your vegetables off now. Potatoes are really good ones to start, and we'll do some other videos about some of the other ones. The thing I like about potatoes is they're very easy to get started. So we can get them going now, so this is sort of mid-January, and you get your first earlies like this one here. This is a Pentland Javelin first early. It's got good yield and it has some resistance to eelworm. So this is a good one to start off with. And then this one here, the other one is a main crop potato. This is King Edward. Now, why would you chip potatoes? We chip potatoes in the sort of colder areas to give them a little bit more of a chance to grow, because you can see here, if you look, you can see that it's starting to put up shoots. Now, you can just plant a potato like that, put it in the ground, and off it will go. But quite often what you will find is it will take longer for it to grow because it's got to start off, and particularly in colder weathers, you lose part of the growing season whilst you wait for the first shoots to appear, which are frost tender. So chitting them means that basically you get an extra 2 or 3 weeks worth of growth without you having to put them in the ground. So there's no risk of them getting damaged by frost. If you're in warmer areas, you don't need to chit them. You can just put them straight in because obviously you've got a longer growing season. But for where I am in sort of the northern part of the United Kingdom, the growing season's short enough. So I like to get these in as quickly as I can. Now you may be wondering, why do we buy seed potatoes rather than we use the ones from the supermarket? Now you can use the ones from the supermarket, people do, but the problem is the potatoes you buy from the supermarket are not guaranteed disease free, so you could be introducing diseases into your soil. You're also never entirely sure how well they're going to grow. These are sort of guaranteed seed potatoes, they're going to produce a good yield. I know that, I've obviously used these before. If I buy them from the supermarket, they may well give me a good yield, but quite often they've been washed. You can see here, this is covered in dirt still. It's not a lot of dirt, but it's not been washed like a normal potato. And the problem is as soon as you wash a potato, it starts to rot, which obviously that's a bit of a problem. So these are the best ones to go for. You can buy them online, you can buy them in pretty much every shop around these days. Garden centres, discount stores, supermarkets, they all sell them. You may find that your choice of varieties is somewhat limited, particularly in sort of offline stores, but you go online to one of the seed companies and you can buy a huge variety. There's hundreds of different types of potato you could buy, and they've all got different qualities. Some are good for mashing, some are good for roasting, some are better for boiling. There's salad potatoes. Some have eelworm resistance like this one, other ones have resistance to blight and so on. Now, what I've chosen to grow this year is one first early and one main crop. The main crop potatoes tend to store a lot better, so they will store pretty much for sort of several months. The first earlies don't store as well. Now, the advantage of first earlies, and pay particular attention here if you're in somewhere where you suffer from blight every year, first earlies grow very, very quickly. So these will be ready by June, maybe July at the latest. What that means to you is when blight strikes in sort of late July and August, your potatoes are harvested and done. It also means that where you've grown your first earlies, you can then put in a second crop. Perhaps you could put in Swedes, turnips, or anything else where you're growing those potatoes. So there's a big advantage to doing these, but I wanted to do some main crops. I don't normally do main crops, but I wanted to do something a bit different this year. Normally I start with just first earlies. Where you plant them in soil or containers, that's entirely up to you. Most of these are going to go into containers. Some may go in soil, but the problem is on my particular allotment, the last person that was on site, he's unfortunately planted potatoes everywhere. So there's really no option to rotate the crop. So there could well be diseases in the soil. I don't know how many years in a row he's planted potatoes in the soil. So I don't really want to put them in the soil until I've had a chance to work out exactly what's been where, basically. But I know probably sort of half the allotment that I've dug has had potatoes in, and some of the other areas I've dug have also had. So you've got to be careful of the build-up of pests in the soil. So, as I said, depending on what you want, you've got first earlies, you've got main crops, you've got second earlies, and then you've got your salad potatoes. They all take slightly different lengths of time to mature. First earlies are the quickest. Main crops are typically planted a bit later, around about usually March time, and then they are ready usually sort of August time. Whereas these first earlies, I can put these in, start them chitting now, and they'll be ready to go in the ground next month in February, and then they'll be ready, I would imagine, sort of June time. So these grow a lot quicker, they're ready to mature. They're not as big as the first, as the main crop, and I've chosen King Edward's because I actually quite like these potatoes. They are a bit slower to grow, but you get really nice big potatoes out of them, so I thought that'd be fun to do. Now there's lots more you can do with potatoes, and I have actually written a book on the subject. The link is below in the information, or you can find it on Amazon. If you search for growing potatoes and Jason Johns, the book will come up. It's in paperback and Kindle format, and it will talk all about potatoes, choosing them, the different varieties, growing them, and a whole lot more. So very worth checking out. Now, how do you chit your potatoes? It really isn't difficult. I use old plastic egg trays. You can use pretty much anything, doesn't matter what you use. Let's just move that one out of the way because we obviously don't need that. So we have one of these, we put it down there, and we pick up a seed potato. Now, if we look at the seed potato, you can see here it's got a few little ones at the bottom here, and then it's got a couple of bigger ones at the top. So what I would do is I would just gently scratch off with a fingernail these ones at the bottom, because what I want these shoots to only appear on one side, because obviously I'm going to put it in the ground, it's going to go in that way, and if the shoots are coming out the bottom as well, then it's going to confuse the plant. I'd rather have 3 or 4 strong shoots up here than lots all over, and then when I try and plant it, it gets all confused. So I just put it in my egg tray like that with the shoots upwards, and I repeat it for all of them. And here's another one, and you can see here I've got shoots on the side there. I've got so I'm going to take that one off, and I'm going to take that one off the side and just leave that one on the top. Next one, this has got lots of shoots coming up, so again it's got one on the side there. Let's just take that off. Let's take that one off the side there, and then it's left with a few at the top, and put that in. Same here, this one's only got some on the top, so let's put that in there. One thing to be wary of with these when they come in nets is the shoots can get caught at the side and come off, so it's probably a good idea to remove them from nets as soon as you can. This one's slightly harder. I'm going to take that one. I'm going to leave that one on the side for now, so let's just put that in there. Again, that's only got some on one side, so let's put that there. That's a nice easy one. Now, this is a bigger seed potato. You can see it's actually quite substantial compared to some of the others. One thing you can do is you can cut these in half, double your seed potatoes. They'll still grow, but if it's got sort of shoots coming up on the other side, just chop it in half, chip both sides, and plant them. And it will actually grow and produce potatoes. So it's a good way of getting more out of your seed potatoes. So there's another one there. Let's just take that one off the side there. We've got another. Oh, that's convenient. They're all on one side. Same here. They're all on one side, so that's quite handy. As you can see, you'll quite quickly run out of space because they do take up quite a lot of space, but as long as you put them somewhere out of the way, they'll be fine. They need to be somewhere frost-free, so don't put them anywhere like an unheated greenhouse or anywhere they're going to get cold, because the shoots are frost tender, so you need to be quite careful about that, because they will they will get damaged. So let's just move those to one side and do the rest of these. The other thing you've got to be careful of is make sure you store them somewhere that's mice free as well. Because last year I chitted my potatoes in my shed. I thought that's a good idea. I can't leave them anywhere at home because my cats will eat them. So I'll put them in my shed, being a smart lad like that. So I stuck it in my shed, only to find out that there appeared to be a family of mice living underneath my shed. And the disadvantage of that was they found my potatoes a rather tasty snack. So I came in, the potatoes had been chitting, they were probably about a week away from being planted, so they weren't that far from being ready. Went to get them out of the shed and found that they'd been eaten. They were rescuable, I could still use some of them, but a lot of them had actually been eaten. So just be aware that if you're storing them anywhere outside, to keep them away from mice, because mice do like these potatoes. So there's 6 left. I don't like the look of that one. That one's very soft, and you can see the skin's broken there. So just there. So that one's not going to get chitted. I'm going to just squeeze these in here because they're only small ones. Let's take that one off the side there. So it's quite handy because actually a lot of these are chitting in the right way by themselves. So I don't need to do too much with them. Sometimes, the longer you leave them, the longer these bigger these shoots will grow, and you can come back to your potatoes, particularly if you leave them somewhere dark, and you'll find they've got massive shoots on. But unfortunately, what will happen is they'll often put so much energy into the shoots that when you plant them, there's no energy left to actually produce potatoes. So you've got to be sort of reasonably careful. Now I've done these, I've got 2 trays full. There's one, and there's the other. What I will do with these is I will put them somewhere cool and somewhere light. And what will happen is these shoots here, these will develop, more of them will develop. And once they get to a couple of inches long, then plant them out. They can go out. It doesn't matter if it's still cold or there's a risk of frost, because what you can do is, because they're under the ground, they're warm. It's only if you're in an area where you're going to get really, really deep frost that you need to sort of worry about them. But for example, where I live, the frost is only going to go sort of 1 inch, maybe 2 at the most into the soil. So if I planted them sort of 6 inches down, they're not going to get affected. If I'm putting them in pots, they're much more susceptible to potential frost damage. But just leave them there, let these grow. Once they get to a couple of inches high, then we'll stick them in the ground. Now what I will do is throughout the year, I will record all the different steps in planting potatoes, explain everything that's going on, how we're doing it all, and obviously share with you the crop. And if you're really, really lucky, I'll actually, well, obviously I can't share them with you exactly, but I'll show you some of my absolute favourite ways of preparing these potatoes and cooking them. So that's it, that's how you chip potatoes. It's very, very simple. It's not rocket science, and all you do is just now leave them somewhere light. So if you've enjoyed the video, please leave a comment below, and obviously check out the link in the blurb to my book on growing potatoes. And I will record another video very soon, show you these as they're chitting and update you on what's happening down on the plot.